You say, well, I haven't been the right kind of a husband and I haven't been the right kind of a father. What am I going to do? You're going to let Christ into your heart. You're going to ask Him to forgive your sin and come into your life and make you the right kind of a husband and the right kind of a father. Showtime! Woo! Woo!
So I got my two boys here, Andrew and Colin. Y'all introduce yourself. Andrew, go for it.
That is say I'm Andrew.
Andrew, how old are you, Andrew?
I'm 18.
Where you go to school?
North Greenville.
North Greenville, that's right. What about you, Colin?
All right, I'm Andrew's brother. I'm Colin. I'm 20 years old and I go to North Greenville as well.
So you're third year?
Junior year.
Freshman?
Yep.
How's that going? Little brother tagging along everywhere?
Yeah.
Show him the ropes?
You tagged along with me.
That's not true. That's not true.
I kind of knew that was coming.
No.
All right. So you're both going to North Greenville. What you going to school to be, Colin?
So I'm studying youth ministry currently.
Youth
Haven't
ministry.
changed it yet. So I'm going to stick with it
How about
for
you?
now.
How about you, Andrew?
I'm doing physical education.
Physical education. Yeah.
Nice.
So Andrew played was a QB in high school, so going to coach a little bit. It's pretty cool. I actually got to go hear Colin preach last night at church, so did a good job. What'd you preach on?
It was John 20:11 through 29. This is where Mary found Jesus wasn't in the tomb.
Yeah.
She found the empty tomb.
So
And
greatest,
all the emotions that came with that.
so it's the greatest day in history, right?
That's right.
That's what you're preaching on. So, again, we're going to pick up on our series we've been doing on discipline, and so we thought it'd be a good idea to bring my boys in and kind of get their 2 cents from a kid's standpoint.
For sure.
You know, because me and Steven's been talking about it from dads, and going just kind of regurgitating some of the scripture we've been talking about in Proverbs. It says, a wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish man despises his mother. Proverbs 15:20. A foolish son is a grief to his father, a bitterness to her who bore him. Proverbs 17:25. A foolish son is destruction to his father. Proverbs 19:13. Discipline your son while there is hope, and do not desire his death. Proverbs 19:18. Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of discipline will remove it far from him. Proverbs 22:15. Do not hold back discipline from a child. Although you beat him with a rod, swat him with a switch. What did I use, boys?
A nice leather belt.
That's right. Hear that jingle coming from a mile away.
The
scared
real
to this
Mr.
day.
Jingles.
Yeah,
the
that's
real
right.
Mr. Jingles is
Yeah,
Chuck
we
coming home from
talked
work.
about that on the last episode. That talking about the Andy Griffith episode where Opie came and said that Mr. Jingles was in the trees. He heard the jingles. And anyway, great episode. Definitely check it out if you didn't saw it. But it says, do not hold back discipline from a child. Although you beat him with a rod, swat him with a switch, etc., he will not die. You shall beat him with a rod and deliver his soul from Sheol. So, again, this is not talking about ever beating your sons. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring my boys in here. Is like, when we talk about discipline your kids, and we're not talking about just spankings. We're talking about grounding. We're talking about, taking, maybe some kind of punishment where you take something away from them, something they desire. And so you boys growing up, we were raised in a Christian home, and I was doing the best I could. I was a young dad. So Colin, you were born when me and your mom had been married for 2 years,
Right.
And she got pregnant with you. So I was like, 21. I was like 24, I think, when you were born.
Yep.
So still young, trying to figure it out. So yeah, exactly. I mean, Colin's 20, so I was 4 years older than you are now.
Yeah, that's hard to think about.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
you still getting spankings now. Imagine giving them out.
Yeah, I don't want to.
His kids go watch him get a spanking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we went through 10 points in the last 2 episodes of and this was broken out from the book Anchorman. He said these are the principles of discipline, and these 10 points just talked about really kind of honing in on why discipline's important. So the first point was start early and discipline your child. Why do you think that's important from a child's perspective? Why do you need to start early?
Well, I mean, for me, I remember I always was scared of you, not in an unhealthy way, but I remember for as long as I can remember, I've always had a healthy fear of my dad. And it wasn't like, oh, I was scared he was going to hit me. I was just, I respected him, right? And so, and that still stands to this day. I've grown to respect my dad more than probably I ever have. And that's why it's important.
I'm scared of him.
You got to demand respect.
I mean, I didn't meet him till I was probably almost 30, and I'm scared of him.
Yeah.
So. Or no,
Well,
40.
something about me puts fear in people. I don't know.
Oh man.
I mean, no, Ava Lee talks about her friends and everybody how they're scared. I mean, you guys, girlfriends is like, hey, kind of scared of your dad,
Right.
So, I get that. How about you, Andrew? When was the first time you think do you remember getting disciplined? You remember?
That's a good question.
First time. I don't know. I think when I threw an acorn at some car.
Yeah, I
at
do.
Granny's,
I do
and,
remember
he
that.
threatened to take one of my Christmas presents away or spank me. I was like,
That was
spank
a
me.
common one.
That's right.
I wanted that Christmas gift.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
hit my cousin's car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. I think I think I'm first spanking.
So you're not really
remember.
scared. You weren't too scared of spankings. Did you do anything to
I just
prepare?
didn't want to lose that gift.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like-
Did you do anything to prepare yourself if you
Oh
knew
yeah,
a spanking was coming?
I'd go to the room and put like 5 pairs of underwear on, a few shorts
A little
on.
extra padding.
Yeah,
Mm.
I just
You just didn't want to feel it. Yeah, like I come in there wailing or something. That didn't happen.
sometimes it hurt.
I never did that. I never prepared. I felt like I deserved the punishment.
Oh, firstborn.
That's
Oh
right.
man.
That's just how it goes.
How
I don't
funny.
know.
Kind of like I'm out naked.
Yeah.
I got it.
Hit me.
He's already spanked. He's already,
I'll go first.
disciplined himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes out of bed and whips on his leg. What happened to you? I went ahead and started out.
Yeah.
So the second point was use discipline for training, not humiliation or venting of anger. So we talked today about how quickly we can get angry and start disciplining more out of that anger instead of trying to teach our kids something. Do you feel when you were, growing up, and I'm not talking about whippings here, I'm just talking about discipline and training and learning from your dad. Did you feel like you had a good understanding of what was going on, or you were just trying not to make them angry?
I think my goal is to try not to disappoint him.
Ooh.
That's just what I really. Now I try to not disappoint him, and I feel that was my goal.
So like a pride thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want him to be proud.
Yeah.
But he did push we talked about that too, that you did push the button sometimes. You pushed it more than Colin did. I mean, Colin, Colin really wore his heart on his sleeve. I mean, when he was little, all I had to do was like sternly talk to him, and
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't.
Yeah.
But Andrew, it took a little more. I
He's
mean,
the average middle child.
A little fiery.
you were. It's like you wanted to push the the envelope on things, and but it wasn't in just in our discipline, but it was just like being a little bit more crazier on stuff. We've talked about the electric dirt bikes. We got them one year for Christmas. Here we are. We buy these 2 electric dirt bikes, and we put helmets on them. And I'm like, I'm worried about my kids, because they're small. How old are you guys?
I was 9,
No,
So I was
maybe
7.
8.
9, 7, 7. I guess you wasn't too small, but never rode a dirt bike before. These were electric, so they only went 20, 25 miles an hour.
Only.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, they took off through the field, Andrew took off through the field, and we got them terrace rows.
Colin watched.
Dude, Andrew hit one of those things. He had the small one too, and he hit that thing, and it didn't have any shocks or nothing on it. I just remember seeing his legs fly up in the air, as he hit that terrace road, and he went airborne, lands it and all crotch into the.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, that had to hurt. And Colin's like standing beside me, like we're just giggling watching him do it. And Colin's like, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that.
Andrew's always a test dummy.
The
I let
brain,
him go
the
do something
test
first.
dummy.
See if it was safe.
Yeah.
You remember this,
Test
Andrew?
trial.
Oh, I do.
Wow.
It's great.
Greatest day of his life.
I was fine.
Because he was the hero, because if he landed it, and it
Oh yeah, the fact that you came back down on it. That's a little wild.
Colin be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, but you're the man.
Yeah,
because you
celebrate
did that.
it.
That's right. But, I love that you guys, I don't think that initially you were worried about me being disappointed. Maybe you, Colin. I don't think Andrew was, but
Maybe when I got older a little bit.
do y'all remember me disciplined out of anger? Just anger discipline? Or was I usually cool-headed?
You're mostly cool-headed, as I remember.
Pretend he's not here and answer that question.
I'm trying to think about the times.
So he didn't get loud?
I mean, the rat hole.
So he's
happened
not. Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
it made the book, dude.
it did. So I mean,
But the thing is weeks had passed. I mean, or at least
no,
a week.
Yeah.
Because you came and told me about it.
I told you right after, I think.
Yeah, you did. You made it a dumb story. You backed the lawnmower to my building. If y'all don't know the story, it's in my book. But Andrew, I was teaching him how to ride my lawnmower, how to drive it. It was a 0 turn. And I just remember being a kid and doing, my grandfather would say, go cut the grass. And I thought I was the coolest guy in the world because I could drive a lawnmower, So I was teaching him one day, and the first time I ever put Andrew on the lawnmower, there's a little the little vent to the septic tanks out there. He runs over the vent in the septic tank and breaks it off. I'm like, oh, and I just like what? But I wanted to get mad, but I'm like, he's a kid. He didn't know what he was doing, and he ran over it, so I didn't get too angry.
Yeah.
But then later, I kind of taught him a little bit how to ride the lawnmower. Andrew comes out here. I guess I was at work. Where was I at?
You were here. I remember. And I knew how to drive it. It's like the door, how the doors would close.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm just going to push it back with the door. I didn't know I put a gigantic hole in it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Allegedly, it could have been. It could have been a big rat.
I saw a rat in there that when I was getting
The hole was like a foot off the ground.
Yeah.
So it would have had to have been a
It's
giant
an
rat.
athletic rat.
Yeah.
big rat.
Oh, it was a foot off the ground, and it was like the concrete. The board's made of concrete. There's no on the outside of that.
I didn't think too much.
You didn't know a rat's diet.
Yeah, but what
typically
was
doesn't-
bad is he pulled the lawnmower back in right where it was at.
Yeah.
And then, he comes in and tells me that, hey, Dad, a rat has chewed a hole in your building.
You were proactive. I like it, man.
And when he said it to me, I'm like,
Come off the dome.
I'm not thinking like, oh, there's a giant hole in my building. I'm like, okay, son, thank you for letting me know. And he went on his way and started playing. And like I said, I forgot. I mean, I'm talking, this is days later. I go out to my lawnmower and I'm coming out to cut grass. I'm coming out to the building. I'm like, what the heck happened in front of my building? There's a big giant hole. And, then I started thinking back. I'm like, what could I have done? When I opened the door, but the lawnmower was sitting there, all the residue from where he crashed it through the door was still on the lawnmower.
You didn't clean up the evidence, man.
He didn't clean it up. So, but like I said, one thing I loved about it is that, I didn't like that he tried to cover it up, but I did like that he was such a bad liar.
Yeah.
He wasn't good at it.
Or
at
he's got
all.
you thinking
Could
that.
never tell a lie.
Yeah, he wasn't good at it. But, I tried not to, discipline out of anger, but I wanted you, if you guys remember a time where it's just like, all right, Daddy's wailing and, just, angry over a situation. I'm glad you can't.
Yeah.
Is mom who's the more verbal? Who's the louder one? It's mom, right?
Yeah.
I would
Mom
for
can
sure.
get at it.
Yeah.
I remember like when we would, come home after school and Dad would be at work and we would be acting up, she would go crazy. And she'd be like, "You just wait till Daddy gets home."
I
And
heard
sure
that.
enough,
Okay.
he'd come home and
I hated that, dude. I could not
Yeah.
stand.
We talked about that.
I could not stand walking in the door
Not knowing what's going on.
and then get hit with, you got to do something. They're doing this and that. And like, she
I
just,
get it now.
and
Yeah.
she just wanted me to come home and like, spank you
Yeah.
or ground you. I'm like, okay, so they're going to hate it from now on when Dad
Dad,
comes home.
yeah.
We're in trouble.
Belt in hand. What happened
He
today?
just take it off his hip right there.
That's
First
what
step.
that's what you've always said. You'll hear the jingle from the belt. And you're like, ooh. Like, like you had some kind of nightmares going. I'm like, come on, guys. Y'all hadn't had, when's the last time y'all had a spanking?
It's been like
Yesterday.
10 years. I don't know.
10 years?
I don't know, but every time you take your belt off, I turn my head to see.
Really?
Not like that in a weird way. That sounds kind of weird. But like,
He's like,
I hear the jingle and it kind of, that made me jump. I just kind of like turn to see.
All right. So it's subconscious. It's down
It
in
is,
there.
it
Okay.
is.
It's like hearing that radar alarm on your phone.
So I was telling him that I'm the opposite with Max, man. The first time I ever had to go with a belt, I did not do a very good job. I didn't land my punches very good.
Yeah.
And, he let the neighbor know. He let the neighbor know about it. He's like, he was telling the neighbor why he couldn't come play. He's telling the adult over there, and he's saying, I got a spanking. And my neighbor's like, oh, sorry. And he's like,
Yeah.
it's okay. My dad's weak. So then I had to give him a whipping
man.
for that too. So,
That's good.
Disrespect.
That's
I had to
right.
get it. But yeah.
Do y'all ever remember me? So like the third point was like dealing swiftly with like disrespect. I mean, do you guys remember like being disrespectful to mom or getting in punishment for that?
I do.
When? Give me that.
I mean, me and Ayla used to fight a lot. There was like a time, like a summer, where we just fought all the time, and I always felt like Ayla got her way. I always got punished for it, which is I probably did do my my duties to
So,
get the
so you
spanking.
so you think we were harder on you than Ava Lee?
Yeah, I do.
You think that too, Colin?
That's probably true.
Harder on you, really?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's just because she's a girl, the only girl, and the youngest.
When Dad was
You think they
trying.
let her get away with more? Because from the outside looking in, I feel like you're saying harder on from a discipline standpoint, but I'm thinking like, I don't know, with restrictions and freedoms, I feel like y'all might have had more of that than she's going to.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I feel like at the age she is now, she gets to go out a lot more than we did.
We didn't get to go out and spend the night with our friends on school.
Yeah, we
nights.
stayed home. I just don't feel like y'all drove us everywhere.
I mean, I didn't want to
we
go
wanted
out every day, but she does. I guess 'cause it's a girl thing, maybe.
I think
She's more social.
No, I think it's like now. Now that and again, she didn't get to go do that before y'all left for college.
That's true. Well, I guess that makes sense because she's lonely.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
just not
we
here.
feel bad.
Yeah.
I think it's just she misses you guys, and you guys are kind of going out and living your life, and so we kind of let her do a little bit more things with her friends and stuff.
Yeah, that makes
than we
sense.
could.
That makes sense.
But earlier, I mean, y'all were younger. Y'all had each other, right?
That's true.
Best friends.
Yeah, I think she's empty house, so it's a little tough. But outside of that, Colin, you remember disrespect?
No, I can't remember a specific time or specific moment, but I do remember, anytime I disrespected mom or you, it was dealt with pretty quickly.
Swiftly.
I don't remember ever getting away with anything like that. So
I don't recall. And again, I'm getting older, can't remember everything, but I don't remember too many times you've been too disrespectful. You were pretty good.
yeah.
No, I was, the only time I remember Andrew, like a really big deal was the time you didn't get out of the car at school.
Oh yeah.
That's insane. I
I
forgot
was
about
yeah,
that.
the minivan.
What was wrong? You didn't want to go?
Was you there, Colin?
No, I was not there. I'd already gone to intermediate school, so I was not at the same school.
Yeah.
But I heard
remember
about it.
You just didn't want to
Crazy.
get out of the car. You refused.
What
I
grade
don't
were
know.
you in?
I was in like
10th, 11th?
yeah, it was like senior year. I didn't want to get out of the car. I think it was more like kindergarten.
That's what I thought. I thought you and Colin were in
Yeah.
the same school.
It was kindergarten. I think Colin done got out.
Maybe I
No,
already
you got out of school. You got out of the car and went in like you were supposed to.
Yeah.
Great job. And then this
I
guy.
fought my battle.
Stood his ground.
I stood my ground for a little bit. I tried to run the back of the minivan. Mom's yelling at
Ooh,
me. Then
man.
they got the male PE teacher.
This guy he was huge.
And this is
massive
it's the
dude.
car line too, man. I bet your mom
and so
was
like
fuming.
the minivan
Yeah.
had a little handles on the back, and I remember holding on to that thing, and he's pulling my feet. I'm not letting go. Mom's yelling at me. I remember
She pushed the button to close the door while you were still
Yeah.
in the middle of it.
squishing my legs, but I remember I didn't want to hurt the PE teacher, so I let go.
Oh man,
You
didn't
ain't
wanna-
gonna hurt that guy.
He was
He
an
was like
asshole.
250 pounds, 6'5".
But so was Andrew in his own head.
Yeah, I was
Why did you not get out? What was your issue?
I didn't feel like going to school that day, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, man.
He'd had enough.
I was tired of kindergarten.
Yeah, I was all burnt out in kindergarten.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think? What are some things you guys did that we don't know about that you got away with?
Oh, bring it out.
What's them hidden secrets you got?
Colin's done a few scratches on the car and did a little Sharpie action on it.
Oh, which one?
I've done that. I think it was a Durango.
Durango?
Cars that you don't have anymore?
Yeah, we
okay,
don't have
whatever.
it. I don't know. I was probably in 4th grade, but I remember we had those electric dirt bikes, and
I found
the
it.
handlebar, the rubber
Mm-hmm.
had come off, dry rot, so the metal was exposed on the handlebar. So I remember pulling it in the garage and scraping the paint a little bit. And so as soon as it happens, I didn't tell anyone. I ran inside and got it's like a blue Sharpie. Because the Durango is dark blue.
You fixed the
I
issue.
just colored it in.
There's
and
no longer
no
an
one really
issue.
noticed for a
Yeah.
while. I don't know. I guess y'all found out.
I did. I
Yeah.
noticed it.
And Andrew got a whipping for it.
Yep, I got punished for it.
No, I would ask them. All right, who did this? And
Oh.
nobody. I didn't do
Well,
it.
the thing, I feel like I got blamed for it. I have no clue what's going on. I feel like that's some.
Well, I'm blaming everybody if nobody takes it.
Yeah,
up.
we're all
Y'all going
guilty.
down.
Ooh. All right.
I mean, you got to. I mean,
Yep.
That's true.
But I mean,
Or there's no discipline.
but that's the thing is like you got, somebody's if nobody says I did this, then you're all gonna get punished for it, and hopefully that'll make whoever did it actually feel guilty and
Right.
come out and say, yeah, I did this. So, anything else?
I'm trying to think.
You just
I threw Colin on the bus.
Yeah, you
there,
threw
Zach.
Colin
I'm
under.
Sorry. You can.
I can't even think of anything he did, so I can't return the favor.
I feel like I told you everything. Right?
We all used to worry about.
I didn't like having.
Mama said she had cameras in the house, so y'all were like,
Oh, the smoke detectors.
For cameras?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
yeah, the smoke.
That's
You know how they got the
good.
little light that
Yes.
blinks.
I remember I
Yes.
jumped from. Y'all probably knew this. I jumped from the top of the stairs onto the. I'd move like the furniture, and I could jump on it.
Yeah.
The top of the stairs.
So when we had that great ottoman that sat right at the base of the stairs.
Colin never did it. Oh,
I was why? I'm smart
Crash
enough not
test
to.
dummy.
I was like, Andrew, do this. He always did it.
How's your knee feel? Okay.
Yeah, not good.
no.
Yeah, that's what he's been messed up since then. But yeah, that Amanda told him that the smoke detectors, the little red light blinking, was a camera. So they always thought it was. So like they would like.
She told us we couldn't get no snacks. I was snack count when she was in the shower or something like that. And like we'd just like try
And
to
she
sneak
told
around.
you that there's a camp, man.
Yeah.
But she was. They were
Oh,
like,
Amanda.
They would like hug the wall.
And the thing is,
thought
like,
it was,
we
like,
could- the thing is,
incognito.
like, we could have walked around the other side because there's no smoke detectors over there, but we decided to go the same way. as the
That's
smoke
boring.
detectors.
That's boring.
Yeah.
You gotta do
The army crawl.
Yeah.
That's what they were playing it in their head. They were playing the music in their
Spectrum
head.
Gadget. It's awesome.
And y'all, what did y'all do in the house with the things that go down the steps?
Inflatable Mario Karts.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, we bought these for Christmas one year. We bought these Mario Karts. They would blow up. You blow them up, and you could sit in them and put the steering wheel for like the Mario Kart, and act like
Yeah.
you were sitting in the car while
On the
you were-
Wii.
while
Oh,
you were-
on the game, on the video game. Okay,
on the
that's
Wii,
cool.
yeah. So we had those, and then they didn't use them that much.
Yeah, that gets old quick.
Oh, we used them.
Down the steps.
Not for the game. Yeah.
Down the steps.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like sleds.
Side by side racing.
No,
Or
No,
They
it
were
was
just
only
humongous.
it was
They were
only
big.
wide enough
Yeah,
for one.
one.
I don't know. I've never seen.
I don't.
these.
I never did it.
Colin was too scared. I always did it.
Andrew, I was like, Andrew, do it, because I would just get a laugh
It's
out
so
of it.
it's
It was
so
fun for
funny
me to
because
watch.
even Max, as wild as he is, I still see him in that role. My 6-year-old to my 2-year-old, like urging him to do something, or there's certain things he could say to trigger Owen, and Owen will go do it. Like
That's
Max
what-
will be like,
that's what
"Don't you
Colin
come,
did to me,
don't you
though.
come over here and fight me. Don't you wrestle with me." And of course, here comes Owen.
And he
And,
does it. Just provokes
I
him.
already see it now, so I'm about to let him know about those cameras in the smoke detectors.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember us ever? So this is kind of point number 4, where it's talking about discipline, rebellion, and defiance, not childish mistakes. Did y'all ever get disciplined? Something you didn't deserve.
That you feel to this day,
Yeah.
like man,
You want to bring it up? You want to call me out right now? So, Daddy.
I remember I did get a whooping for Ava Lee would go and bite her arm, and she'd go to Mom and say, "Andrew bit me."
Yeah, I witnessed
And
that.
Colin would witness it, and he wouldn't say nothing,
and you got a
and I'd get a whooping for it.
you got a whooping for that.
Mm-hmm.
She got you,
Ava Lee would go to
dude.
the bathroom and bite and like put water on her face and say, "Andrew bit me." I'm like, "No, I didn't." And Mom's like, "All right, give me your iPad." And I'd be grounded.
Yeah,
Oh man,
And Colin, you
Lee.
And Colin's just like,
I just got joy out
he
of
wants to
watching
see what's gonna
it.
happen. Yeah,
I was always just a
yeah.
spectator.
You're like
All right,
Duke
we're
Kaboom
going
for
to
him.
take a
Yeah.
break on this podcast while my boys fight.
Duke it
We'll
out
get
real
there.
quick.
Yeah.
We'll
We
get
bring it
there.
back. We bring it back to the old
Yeah.
pent up memories.
the
Yeah.
memories.
That's right.
Vietnam flashbacks.
Anything else? Any other kind of Colin? Did you ever get punished for something you didn't deserve?
No, honestly, nothing comes to mind. I felt like everything was just for the most part.
What? So in those times, trying to remember back, what is the worst thing you think you ever got punished for? What's the worst thing you did?
Whoa, we're gonna bring that out.
The worst thing I ever did.
Yeah, I don't remember, so I'm asking because I don't know.
Well, yeah,
Because it might be
I
different.
can
What he
speak on
thinks
that.
and what you think might be very different.
Yeah, well, I remember I'm not going to say I was like rebellious or troubled in 8th grade, but I don't know. I guess I went through a phase, and I remember I had just got social media for the most part, and I just remember just kind of going off the rails with social media and using not so great language and disrespecting other people on social media. Dad found out
Oh,
and took my phone for probably a summer. It was 2 months, I think. So
All summer.
it was
Yeah.
pretty much the whole summer. That was the worst thing I did, and
we
that
found
was
out.
that was by far my worst punishment, probably.
I had to nip it in the bud.
And he did it. I've never done it again.
But Colin said, I just, and it wasn't that, I don't know that you were doing a lot of the bad things, but it was Snapchat, right?
Yeah, it was Snapchat.
It was
That's where all
Snapchat.
my trouble began.
I remember,
unfortunately.
So I mean, you know,
It's
as a parent, you're trying to learn like what can I allow my kid to do and what can I not allow him to do, right? So
And it's even
He's
in
my
this,
first one.
in this new age, new day and age.
they're like,
man.
all right, Dad, Snapchat's a thing. I'm kind of ignorant to what Snapchat is. You know that you can just do stuff and it disappears. But he was part of a group chat, and inside that group chat and it wasn't so much Colin doing anything. He was just part of another group that was like cursing and doing other things. And this was like 8th grade. And I just remember I took his phone, I found it, and if you take a screenshot in Snapchat, it notifies everybody that's in that group that somebody's taking things. So every time I didn't know.
God, it's built for this. It's
Yeah.
built for debauchery.
Oh, well.
Debauchery.
I mean, it's built for it. It lets people know when you're screenshotting. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
well, I mean-
so you know, Colin, he went to school, and I grounded him from his phone, took his phone. I'm at the house, you know, screenshotting these texts, and it's the friends that I know he was close to too, and I was going to get on to them too for what was going on, but I just remember Colin said his friends came to him at school and said, Colin, why do you keep screenshotting this stuff? He's like, Dad, I ain't got the
I was like,
phone.
what are you talking about?
Ooh.
My
Yeah.
dad's got the phone.
And I'm pretty sure they all left the group chat.
Yeah, I
it
bet.
it was a mass exodus leaving that thing.
Yeah.
But
That
it was
was
too
fun.
late. I already had it.
Lessons
remember that.
learned, man.
But yeah, that was the first time. But I will say that you know, as the kids started getting social media, we didn't hold back. I think even when you got your phone back, did we let you keep Snapchat?
No, I didn't get it back till senior year of high school.
Yeah.
So I didn't have it for like 4 years.
We didn't let them do that because.
So at the time,
But I'm with you. I mean, when you said it's made for debauchery, what else? Is it
oh,
made
it's
for?
just
Yeah.
built for that. It's funny to me that it's telling you those things, and you can't, like Marco, the old people version that we use. It never disappears. It's always there. It's just like it's just like group video chats or whatever.
It's
and
not like you're posting like Facebook or Instagram, and it's a social.
and it doesn't.
board.
And it's I mean, I get it now.
It's hidden.
I see.
It's all hidden. It's like I want to do this and I want to do this stuff in private.
So, do you
Secrecy.
think in 8th grade that you understood? Like, so was it just take your phone, or did you get a lecture from Dad about it? And did that open up a doorway for a serious conversation about
I think
things that we're trying to keep out of the light and things that we're hiding and whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, the first thing he brought to me was like, man, you're living a double life. Like, and that hit me like a ton of bricks. And so I was like, man, that's so true. And I remember in middle school was the time where I started getting serious about my faith, and so it really meant a lot to me for him to come to me with that and point out that sin in my
They
life.
called you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
They
like a
rebuked you.
lecture, and
Yeah.
I wasn't disrespectful.
there was no spanking. Or, I
Yeah, but you
in
knew-
8th grade we were past that.
But it hit, though.
Yeah.
It hit home because you're like, that's not what I want for myself.
Right,
I don't want to
absolutely.
say, I don't want, and as a Christian, it shouldn't be because there's enough of that. We make enough mistakes for people to easily say, you know, you're living a double life or you're being hypocritical or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's hard enough to try to not do that and then to do something
very,
like that. That's
very convicting.
outrageous. Yeah.
Very convicting.
Cool. What about you, Andrew? You remember the worst thing? Worst punishment?
No, not really. I don't think I really.
You
Past few years, I
well,
think I kind of like
we-
died down on my.
Well, I mean, we learned from Colin, especially about like Snapchat.
Right.
So we never opened up the opportunity for him. So to be honest with you, Colin was kind of like, let's test the waters here and see what happens, and then you
You
know.
don't do too well.
But
Learn from my mistakes.
but
How
when
about I got to ask this because I got boys and they're getting a little rough and rowdy, and I worry about hands on. And how about fights? You ever fight at school or
I've never been in a fight.
after school?
I've never
Not at
been.
That
school.
was never a big thing.
Me and Andrew tussled,
I see that, yeah, with each other.
but not.
Yeah.
That's when I was bigger.
I just see
you know?
Max. I see Max pushing it at soccer games and practices and stuff. And if somebody bucks back to him, he's always ready. And he shouldn't be. He's little, like, but
Yeah.
he's ready. And I'm like, man, it's gonna happen. And that's a tough one for me. Like, I don't know how to.
Yeah, but
I don't know how I will handle that.
if he gets in middle school and acts like that, somehow, they'll
Yeah, I'm
they'll flatten him.
And I've told his mom. I said it's gonna happen. And I kind of am not mad
Yeah,
about it. Like, he needs my,
Yeah.
you know. But
Well, you know, I think I fought in school, but back when I was in school, it was different. I mean, people fought more. I mean,
Yeah.
you still hear some, but
well, it's a big deal. Now you're getting arrested and you're not coming back to school. ever.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't like a fist fight, and rightfully so. It escalates so quickly now.
But the reason I got in fights is because I hung around people that like to fight. You know, and again, I didn't didn't hang around the best crowds. I taught my boys not to do that. But Colin will also tell you that, him practicing his faith, especially in middle school and high school, that it was tough to make good friendships too, because those guys that
No, they don't want to be, because what you're doing is you're making them reflect and be. You're holding people accountable.
Yeah.
If you're not living that double life that you're talking about, the people that you're around, you're making them. And
they're fighting and talking about girls and drinking, sneaking cigarettes or whatever, vaping, whatever they do now.
yeah.
I'm just saying they're doing that, and Colin didn't participate. So like, why invite him? Why? I'll be a friend. I'll talk to you, but I'm not. We're not going to invite you to go with us because you're not going to do those things anyway. But no childish mistakes, Andrew. No.
I mean, not that I
you never got in trouble for spilling the juice, something stupid.
How'd you open the cheese? Show us.
What was that?
Squeeze the mess out of it.
Yeah.
A sliced cheese?
No,
No,
so
the cheese
the
sticks.
cheese sticks. When they were little, they used to eat cheese sticks.
Yeah.
I got videos of Andrew when he was little bitty, and he would sit there and try to squeeze it. He would do like
Oh
that, like he was
yeah,
gonna open
like
the-
water out of a rock, right?
Yeah,
I
strangled.
get it. I get it.
Oh yeah, he was a stud muffin. He could just pop it open.
Man, one of the points was don't be afraid for us as parents to
Well, you jumped past 5 and 6, man.
oh, okay.
Communicate the rule clearly and enforce it the first time. Did we communicate clearly the rules?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because, like, look at us now. I mean, we didn't really mess up too many times. I don't think so. I mean,
Yeah, I think everything was communicated clearly, but it didn't mean we didn't test the water still.
Oh, yeah,
right.
of
We kind of
course.
test the boundary.
Was there ever a time that
Everything was straightforward.
Yeah, and maybe I didn't. Well, that is number 7. That's one that you was fixing to talk about. So, I guess the main thing was like if me and your mom, we tried to come together and have a rule and like say this is what's going to happen. What I did hate going back to if I wasn't there and you guys were disobeying your mom, did she do punishment or she just holler?
She would mostly yell. She would try to spank us.
Oh,
she wouldn't try to
Try.
spank me. She took my iPad,
She did that a few times.
and I loved it. My iPad.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't love the
You
punishment.
didn't love losing it. You
Nah.
loved the iPad.
I was like, that's when.
I thought
That was
what he-
crushing.
I thought that's what he was saying too.
Oh, I love the
I
punishment.
love punishment.
I
I
love
love
it.
the pain.
I eat pain like candy. That's what my dad used to say. I eat pain like candy.
That's what my dad used to say. He still says it.
I do. Said it twice. There you go.
Yeah.
When you were punished, when you were small, it says always make sure that your child understands why he's being disciplined. Do you think we communicated like clearly to you guys why you were being disciplined?
Yeah, this guy talks about giving his son discipline his son, and it just crushed his son. And it's because he had no clue. He had no clue what was going
what
on.
he did wrong.
You ever had a time like that?
Y'all remember me coming into your room and like
Waking you up for a spanking? Get up! You done something.
that
You've probably done something.
time for the daily spanking. I mean, when y'all were little though, I always tried to like sit you down and say, "This is why." And you gave the example of the whole Snapchat. We had some long conversations with that.
Yeah, we did.
We actually connected.
That's what I'm
through
saying.
that.
It probably
Really-
opened
really
up some
good
good
conversations.
conversations. That's what I was getting at earlier.
Absolutely.
It did. It challenged. I mean, like I said, Colin was always the one that he didn't want to disappoint me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that day when I was saying, "Hey, this isn't you. This isn't what I raised you to be, and you're doing this."
As you guys are getting older, do you see how difficult that was for him? We talk about that, like rebuking somebody, a brother, even your kids. Like it's not. You don't understand it till you get there. That when we say this hurts me more than it hurts you, kind of thing. Like it's difficult to. We don't want to do that. We want to have fun. We want to crack jokes and everything to be great. But we got to buckle down and discipline and lecture and have these tough conversations. Like,
Yeah.
do you see that now? Like that's not easy. Like you put yourself in that.
Yeah, as I get closer to, I guess I'm considered an adult now, but as I get closer to being a parent and seeing, more people my age getting married and people a little bit older having kids, like, man, that's real.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can see how it might be really tough to get out of your comfort zone and say, all right, I got to prioritize discipline. I
Yep.
got to make sure my
Prioritize.
sons and my daughters are doing the right thing. And that's it's a responsibility.
Because the easy thing is to let them run. Let them run
That's
wild.
the easy thing.
Yeah.
That's the easy way out.
And that's one thing in this book, Taming Your Barbarians, in this chapter, that's one thing he talks about, is that discipline is like life and death.
Life or death, yeah.
It's a life or
absolutely.
death thing.
Because
Because if you don't discipline your kids when they're younger, like if I never discipline you guys, one, it doesn't. How does that tell you that I love you?
Right.
I can just say y'all go do what you want to. Go be happy. And then when you grow up, you're gonna think that that's the way the world works. I can just do whatever I want to.
Yeah.
And those are the people that are running amok. I mean, so how have you seen in school? I mean, you guys just come out of high school. You're in college today. The kids around you that are not disciplined.
Well, now, I mean, most of the kids that I grew up with and graduated with, they didn't have any, structure or discipline. They're out partying. They're, at big colleges, or maybe they're in the workforce now and they're partying. They're not living lives for Christ. I can tell you that. They're just doing whatever they want. And unfortunately, you have some of my friends, they've, already had babies out of wedlock and, maybe struggling with some kind of substance abuse or whatever it may be.
Wow. How about you, Andrew? I mean, you just graduated last year. What'd you see when it comes to like people, your friends and stuff? Could you tell? Could you tell the kids that were disciplined and kids that were not?
Yeah, I could definitely tell. Even like me being on the football team, I kind of stood out, like, because most of the football team cussed and I didn't, and it kind of stood out because I kind of felt like I didn't fit in too much. Because I mean, my dad's always told me not to use some cuss words and not have a bad potty mouth, I guess you can say.
Right.
And it just, because it reflects onto him. And with me being the leader, it kind of the football team, I didn't want to set a bad reflection on my father or the team. So I kind of felt like I didn't fit in too much. But like most of the kids on the football team, they didn't really have discipline, really.
How could you tell though? Just how they responded with coaching and.
They thought they were better than the coaches. They thought they were better than anyone who talked to them.
And I noticed that too when I was always coaching, you guys in a little league, and I didn't coach at the high school level. I was never that good of a coach, but you could always tell the kids that were coachable.
Coachable.
Yeah.
Be coachable.
Be coachable, man.
And every day. But that's going to get you through the workforce. That's going to get you through a discipleship. That's going to get you through so much. And that's why I do appreciate sports. Like I learn more from sports.
Humility
that helped me in my life and in my career than I ever learned from classes in college. It was sports. And I had godly coaches that I remember, and they enforce this stuff on me. It's one of the things I talked about earlier, and I kind of want to ask y'all about, like, who's the most influential school teacher, coach, leader other than your parents that you had, and what kind of relationship did you have with them? Like, were they tough on you? Did you have like tough coaches that stood out the most to you, or really hard teachers, or the ones that were your friends and cool and chill and all that? You get my question?
Yeah. So honestly, it wasn't that leadership and mentorship role never came from a coach or a teacher. It came from church. Actually, I was in a D group with Chandler Davis. He's a middle school pastor at Church of the Mill. And man, we spent a lot of time together. I was in a D group with him and 3 other guys.
What's a D group?
You said what?
What's a D group?
D group. Okay, so we met every week, Sunday nights, and we walked through a curriculum. But
What
we
do you
met.
stand for?
Discipleship group.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the view, we got a massive audience. We have a massive
Sure.
audience.
Sorry
out
about
here,
that.
and
Sorry
we're
about
gonna-
that.
The world is watching, and they need to understand, what you're talking about.
Yeah, but so
D group.
Exactly.
It's not like a gang. I thought you were in a gang.
discipleship group.
It is a game. That is a game.
A good gang.
It was awesome.
That's right.
Good gang.
But Chandler, he wasn't really tough on me, but he always created this environment for me to open up to him and share my struggles with him. And he would tell me how it was. Like, he was always
So he
was straightforward. He didn't beat around the bush, and so he held me accountable. And I grew so much from that relationship. So that was it for me.
So do you in turn see yourself doing that with anybody? Treating Andrew that way, being that guy for him or anybody else?
Well, honestly, I think that's where my call to ministry came from. I saw how it changed my life, and I'm like, man, how can I not go do this for someone else? I feel like it's a calling. I have to do it. I feel obligated to do it because it made such an impact on my life.
I remember Colin going through that, and again, we're in middle, and that's why I was in middle school, right?
That's when it started.
because we we started going to church at the mill, and we came from a small church. So when we started going to church at the mill, I kind of threw Colin into it. I'm like, all right, Colin, you got to go make some. And I'm going to tell you that you want to tell you something that was hard on me. It was that I remember the first time, and I don't know what it was at church, what they were having, some kind of kids' night or something.
Yeah, it was a discipleship now weekend.
And they did.
Yeah, for the weekend.
Didn't know anybody.
He didn't know nobody.
He didn't want to go.
I said, "You're going, you're going," and I made him go. But I dropped him off, and he went in. Well, I snuck in myself, and was in a corner and watched him.
Oh, helicopter dad over there.
I know, because I felt so bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm watching this kid and nobody's paying him no attention, whatever else. But he walks in the room, and all of a sudden I see all these other kids just like come to him. He communicates. He doesn't stand to the side. He communicates. I'm calling. Next thing I know, he just takes off. I'm like, okay, I'm going home. I go home, and I remember coming. We picked him up, and Colin came home. He said, "Dad," he said, "this is the best weekend ever."
Yeah, I think you shared about that in small group. So you remember this?
Yeah, it was awesome.
And it was
awesome.
just they just felt accepted and
And he told
Made
me,
some really good friends.
and he said, "Dad, thank you for making me go."
ooh,
Yeah, I remember saying that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Lord, I done messed up my kid. He's gonna hate me forever. And sometimes we do. We make decisions and we don't know, are we doing the right thing here? And I didn't know. I had no clue how he was gonna come home. I just prayed for it, and all right, Lord, I'm trying to be a good dad, trying to do what I'm supposed to do, and it worked out. So.
It did. Grateful for that experience.
But how about you, Andrew?
You remember moving churches?
I do. I kind of I knew some people that were at the mill, so I mean I kind of fit in a little bit more better than Colin did, because I knew people from like Florence Chapel
All right.
that went to the mill, so it kind of
Just jump right in.
yeah.
It's Andrew. I mean, everybody knows Andrew.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the man. He just walked in, and
I didn't say it, he did.
they all just ran to you and surrounded you.
Autographs? You were signing autographs your first
They
day.
hoisted you up, and
Yeah.
hip hip.
All right.
And Colin's just over there in the corner.
That's my brother. Yeah,
I know him.
I know it. Yep, that's right.
I know him. But who? He asked the question to Colin earlier. Was like, who was like impactful in your life that you can remember? Coach or what? Do you have somebody? Think of?
I've had a lot of coaches,
Yeah, but just one that stood out. And why did they stand out?
and it can't be you.
No, can't be. I'm tired of hearing about your dad.
Okay.
Somebody else.
I'd probably say Coach Shaw.
That's good.
He was
Positive influence on you.
yeah.
And he was what I'm getting at. Was he tough on you, or did he stay on you? Did he hold you accountable? Was he your friend? Did he create a safe space? What was it about him?
He kind of held me accountable because, like, he saw me from my freshman year to my senior year. He knew, like, me coming in as a junior, as a quarterback, he knew I was, like, one of the laid-back kids that stayed in the corner, didn't say too much. And then he kind of gave me, like, a challenge. He challenged me for my senior year. He says, if you want to be the starting QB, you have to become more of a leader. And I
Like a vocal?
Yeah, like more of a vocal leader. I was like, I can try. And I feel like he kind of held me accountable the whole senior year, just to push me, and just he kind of helped me, like when I was like down in games. He taught me through it and tell me just take what they give you, the defense and all that. He kind of
So that was your biggest influence.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I get that because he spent, especially when it comes to sports, you spend a lot of time with those coaches.
yeah.
More than with your dad in those years.
Oh, yeah.
More hours a day. Yeah, for
Sometimes.
sure. And it's just like us at work. Or especially me, I spend more time at work than I do with my kids on a weekly basis, typically.
Well, Andrew's always been a very competitive kid, and
Where'd he get that from?
And that's one of the things I talked about
I don't know.
Colin about, or talked to Coach Shaw about. I'm like, look, he's very competitive, and that's not going to ever be an issue. But a lot of times, he mentioned that he's not going to be
Vocal.
It's hard to be vocal, and when you're not included in that group of people,
Yeah, 'cause
right?
I just didn't fit in with other
you're kind of on the
people.
outside because you're not doing what they're doing. You're not, kids are doing drugs, they're doing all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I can't be a part of that.
Yeah.
And when you can't be a part of that, that's
But that's also, that's your platform too,
Yeah.
man. And when we watched you go through it,
Yeah.
we watched you go through it, and I heard your dad, talk about all this, and I was just, we're all proud of you, and I know that's not, I know that's not easy, but that's also that's your chance. That's God's given that in front of you to use for that, because somebody's going to look back. I was that kid. I was the other kid on your team. I was your other friends, right? That, maybe you're saying didn't invite you out to do stuff because you weren't doing the same things. And then years later, I'm looking back and going, man, I think of these 3 or 4 guys that were really good friends in high school that I just couldn't understand, how their walk, right, and what they were going through, and they were so far ahead, and they were so far along in that. And then looking back, I just like, wow, they had it figured out, and I thank God for them. I thank God for them, because they, even to this day, they influence me and don't even know it. So remember that you're influencing those around you, peers that have no clue.
And I told the boys that. I told them, I said, there'll be a day you're going to run into these old high school people, and they're going to come back and say, I remember you.
Yep, you were different.
You were different.
Yeah. I mean, these were good friends of mine that, I got no excuse but to reach out and let them know.
So, and some of that may have already happened. I mean, you guys are, like I said, now you're in college. So let's move to number 7. Don't be, and this is one Stephen was mentioning earlier, don't be afraid to make mid-course corrections or admit when you have been wrong. So this is talking to dads, and was there ever a time that I came to you guys and said, I messed up, I didn't do what I should have done here?
Crickets.
Nothing.
Dad admitted he was wrong. Yes. Is that what I'm supposed to say, Dad? Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Listen, this is not on the but on a podcast. We didn't rehearse this. I didn't give them what we were going to ask them before they come in here. So I'm hitting them off the cuff. They're having to think of this. So when there's a pause, that's them thinking.
Right. That's right. I want to say you came to me at least a few times. Maybe when you were, punishing me out of anger, or maybe you yelled at me unnecessarily. I mean, like you didn't have to. You're just kind of in the moment, angry. Like, I get that now. But I think there were a few times that you came back and said, man, I shouldn't have yelled at you, or maybe I was too harsh with you.
Well, I mean, I think the best example I see is he wrote a book. He wrote a book, and he talked about getting mad at you for scratching the van.
Okay, yeah, I do remember
the bike
that.
out.
That's a good example.
And about you putting a hole.
You know what was good about that is the first time me and Colin went to Uganda, we did a devotion together, and we actually told that story that I wrote about my book, and I said, here, I'm going to, we told it twice. I said, here, I'm going to tell the story from me as a father.
Oh, yeah.
And then I want him to tell it as a son.
Yeah.
And dude, and that's what I'm saying. You have these learning experiences, because when I started thinking back about it, I was super angry because Colin. And
it made the book, man.
It did. So
it has to be. It had to be a big something.
The story about this is when Colin was little, he had a bicycle. He just learned to ride his bike, and we had it in the back of our van. And we went to my grandmother's and came home. I was in the house resting. Colin comes in and says, "Hey, Dad, I need you to get this bike out of the bike out of the back of the van because I want to ride it." And he's little. I mean, he's little. We're talking 6 years old. He's small.
Probably.
He just learned. And I'm like, "No, I'll come out in a little bit and get it. Just hold your horses." Well, I might have dozed off. I don't know. Took a nap.
I know exactly what happened. You went and sat down. You put your feet up, and then you went and asked him to get the bike. I know how it works.
That's how it was.
Yeah,
but he went back outside to play, and I just remember looking out the window and seeing him ride the bike down the driveway. I'm like, what? He got who got this bike out for him? So I go outside. The van door still open, back door still open. And I just looked at the bumper, and there's just deep scratches all in the bumper. Because, I mean, he was little. He couldn't pick this bike up. He drug it out and drug it across the bumper. Dude, I was furious. I don't even think we had the van that long. I was just furious. I'm like, oh, man, you didn't, done hundreds of dollars. And I flew off in anger. I did. I flew off in anger, hollered at him. And, and he had no clue. He's riding along, happy as I'll get out. And here I come wailing at him, through the yard. Like, look what you've done. Look at the damage that you've done here to this van. And went back in the house. Just so angry, I'm like, I'm going in the house. I don't even think I spanked you or nothing.
No.
Just
damage was done. Though.
Yeah, he knew the anger from it that I had. I went back in the house to cool off, and like I said, he just came in later, and came up to me, tears in his eyes, and handed me a dollar bill. Because he had no clue. He had no clue what the cost was. All he knew is like, I got to pay my daddy back. And dude, it broke me. I just remember sitting there and his eyes were.
Good job.
He always
Yeah.
Nice.
he would carry tears in his eyes, like they would puddle up in his eyes, and I just remember standing there and him and just handing me that dollar. And dude, it made me reflect. And again, that when we went and shared in Uganda, I took him. He was 15 years old. And we told that story. The way I kind of wrapped it up is like, I told the same story in the book. Is it made me like I'm standing before my heavenly Father and all the damage that I've done,
And all you got to. Yeah.
and all I'm going to try to do is hand him $1.
That's what we're doing, and we're working hard to give him that.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants.
But
You were really mad. Let me tell you why your dad was really mad. He had a minivan. That's what he was really mad
Yeah.
about. Not only that, now it had a scratch bumper. Thanks.
yeah, I wasn't happy about it, dude. I remember. Got it, but I tell you what, I always talk smack, but after we got that email, I was like, man, that thing's nice.
Yeah, you had 3 kids. I
So
told
practical.
we cut it off. No more kids because I can't get a minivan. So
Dude, but I'm telling you, it was like legit. We went to Disney World
Have
and
the
everything
movie
else.
screen up there.
They're
no,
awesome.
I did. We got these SUVs, and everybody's like, the minivan's got more room. I get in like Jonathan Casey and them minivan one time. I was like, oh wow, you're not kidding. Like this is unbelievable.
It's like a hotel room.
I'll never admit that. Actually, please edit that out.
Steven gonna have a minivan next week.
No.
But Andrew, you remember me like coming back and saying I messed up? I shouldn't have done that. Did we talk when you were little, Andrew? Did
No, not really. I just kind of did my own thing.
I just got whippings. Went in there for my weekly
Yeah,
whipping.
Dad never said sorry to me. He just went to town on me. Went on with his day.
nothing.
I don't remember.
Andrew's still waiting.
I was always wrong.
He's still waiting.
Always wrong.
All right. I want to hear this one. I want y'all to think about this one. So the 8th point here is husbands and wives must present a united front to the children. And of course it goes on with how we got to be on the same page, kind of have the same boundaries, not where like my wife's flying off the handle at the kids and I'm like, what, are we really mad about this? Like we can't have that kind of argument or conversation in front of them. We got to be united and deal with that. So I'm just thinking about knowing your mom and dad. Was there ever anything that like you could get away with dad and not mom, and vice versa? And did you ever play that game? There's got to be a story there somewhere.
Abel does.
Dig deep, man.
Haley gets, yeah.
She plays them all. She goes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She goes to Dad.
She's a
when
daddy's
she wants-
girl. Yeah.
Like, Ailey wants to go to a friend's house. Mom says no. She goes to Dad. Dad says yes, so Ailey goes.
And then guess what? Mom and dad.
Yeah.
There's some tension there. That'll turn into a little argument. It will.
But Amanda always says no. I mean, it's like,
She don't have a reason.
or
She'll
she'll
say no.
or she'll say,
She'll just say no because she likes saying no.
we will see.
Show dominance, I guess.
We'll
And
see.
next week on the podcast, Amanda will be out here to
Yeah.
refute this.
We will see.
Yeah, and I'm bad about that. We will see, and now they're catching on. Max like you always say that. I know that means no,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, I'm really just lying, or I just need to say no, or
Yeah.
Again, when we say that, I mean, that's basically almost like I kind of reference that in the book too, of like I say that to God. God will say, "Chuck, you go do this." I'm like, well, if all these stars align
Yeah.
and
Show me this,
that,
God.
and that person comes to me
Testing God.
and says, "Hey, I need to know about Jesus," I'll do that.
and I have
Lord.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always I do that to the Lord sometimes.
So you never got to play. Never
Never played.
got to. Like, man,
Who was
Dad's
more,
gone.
who was
Dad's
more strict, me or mom?
Probably Dad.
Mhm.
When it came to the big stuff. But I always remember I would go ask Mom something and he'd be like, all right, well, go ask your daddy.
Okay.
And I'd go ask Dad, and that was the final answer. you
Okay.
know?
So, but you never went.
I
To,
don't-
You never went to Dad first, and then.
No.
Okay.
They're boys. I mean, I'm gonna tell you that
Dynamics are
Ava
completely
Lee will
different.
come to me because she knows I'll normally say okay or whatever. But the boys they're and I think I was that way too. I went to my mom, but my dad, of course, my dad wasn't there. But I think boys go to moms. That's just what y'all
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Because Mom's softer, right?
We
So
don't
we want that.
Well, y'all are in college. I don't talk to you guys. I send you my quiet time every day. But Amanda, she's usually if you need something, you text mom. You don't text me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she'll
always
text
be
us
calling
every
me
once
on
in a while.
the
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you need something, because he's not gonna know. He's
Yeah.
not gonna know the answer.
Most of the time when
Mom
I call
will know.
Dad, he don't answer, so.
Oh man!
Sometimes.
I believe we talked about that.
That is because it normally I don't feel it. I don't feel my phone going off because it's on vibrate, or I'm working. I'm in the middle of something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
I get that.
But I always respond in a timely manner.
Yeah,
Later.
way better than me, dude.
2 hours
My,
later.
my kids are gonna hate me, dude.
I
Ask your
I
dad.
think you sent answered my message
Steve-
like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I will though.
Yeah.
It's ADHD, man. It's so bad.
I get it.
Steven goes days. But I'll send Steven a text and I'm like, all right, he must be asleep. And then I'll see like on a Facebook post or something. I'm like, what the heck?
Oh, that's different. That's my time. I don't have to answer a phone or text then.
Yeah.
No, those are two separate things, man.
So me and your mom usually presented a united front.
It's like for us, yeah. And then Ava Lee,
Yeah.
kind
That's one thing it's important that you do that because if you play parents like that, you're going to cause conflict in a marriage.
of, yeah.
With the parent, marriage.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with that. And, so I'm hoping that's something you guys see.
But
from
we
the
can
kids'
avoid
side.
that. We
And
can
I-
avoid that by making sure we're clear and on the same page.
But I've told Ava Lee that, if she tried to play us on something like, look, next thing you know, me and Amanda are like fussing about it. I'm like, what you did caused conflict here.
Yeah.
And it has with the boys too, because
Yeah.
I mentioned this on the last podcast too, of, where I would be trying to teach them something because a man, like, all right, respect time, be there when you're supposed to be, whatever. And the man would be like, oh, she kind of undermined what I was saying there. And I'm like, they're men. I'm trying to teach them to be a man here. In this, I need you to not, be quiet. In this.
Like-
And there should be certain things like, you should be able to know I'm in this mode. You just need to agree with me. We can talk about. We can have a sidebar
That's
later.
the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like, I don't mind you questioning me.
Yeah.
Pull me to the side
Yeah.
and do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it here where we're not on. We don't look like we're on a united front.
Yeah.
Like when I got my speeding ticket.
And also, I'm right. By the
Yeah.
way, Pam, I'm just right.
That's a good example.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Talk about that.
I got a speeding ticket, and first I got the speeding ticket, walked in the house, I went straight to Mom. I was like, "Hey, Mom, I got a speeding ticket," and I was speeding.
How fast was he going?
They said 69. I wasn't going 69.
He's going 59.
That's exactly.
And I was like, Mom, I can tell you this now. I wasn't going 69. And she was like, all right, pull it live through 60. And I did.
Oh, so your mom.
Yeah, and she pulled it
Okay.
up and it said 59. And Mom then we walked up to Dad.
But they came up with like when they both came up
With
there.
excuses.
It was like I'm not guilty.
Well, Mom kind of told
And
me
that's
I
why
wasn't guilty.
why
so
do
I
you
was
think?
like,
Yeah, he went to who's going to co-sign
You're
on
my
that.
son.
Yeah,
You're my son, so
Yeah.
I know you're not guilty. So
Yeah.
Mama Bear.
Yeah.
And yeah, then
But we
they-
get that way about speed limits too, man.
Yeah.
We got our own ideas. A lot
right.
of us.
So what did I do? How did I respond?
And then we walked up to you, and Dad's like, "Oh, you're in fault." I was like, "Yeah." And then Mom's like, "Oh no, he wasn't." And then they started arguing. They argued for a little bit about that, and then
And again, back to your point, you're trying to teach them this. You're going 46. Were you going faster than 45 miles an hour? Then you're guilty.
Yeah.
Was it 60? It doesn't.
That was the
doesn't
thing.
matter. At that
yeah,
point.
I understood
I mean,
that later on.
it was coming to me like, "Hey, Dad, you need to stand before this judge and be my lawyer and plead my case." And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, no,
No, and that's why he went to Mama.
I'm going to be guilty.
Right.
I'm going to stand before there and they're going to say, "Well, okay, you got on life 360, which means nothing to
No,
me.
yeah.
This is what the cop says. It's your word against his word."
But even
He-
Life
he said
360 said you were speeding, right?
Exactly.
So-
But as soon as I said that, that's what the judge is going to say.
Yeah.
Well, what was the speed limit again?
Yeah.
40. Okay.
35.
You're out.
yeah.
So
That's
what
good.
was your lesson that you learned there? Did you learn a lesson?
Accept the
Don't get
truth.
caught.
Oh, okay.
I mean, what
Yeah.
what have I always told you guys about that though? You're responsible, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's everything. That's everything.
I mean, they came at me at two different. Again, this goes into the next point. Discipline your child's personality and mind. Two separate personalities, both got a ticket, both came to me about the same age, handled it completely different.
Well, one came to you and no, both went to Mom.
Both went to Mars.
First, yeah.
But for two different reasons. One knew the best lawyer in the house, and one knew the softer, who was going to have a softer touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Colin came like sobbing.
Yeah.
Andrew came angry.
Yeah.
No, I was mad.
Yeah,
I can tell you, I was mad.
I'm not guilty.
My,
Colin's
dude,
like, oh, I'm
I
guilty.
got the same stories with my little sister. I remember coming home, I couldn't even talk. I just had to set it down because I couldn't talk.
Yeah, I
when
couldn't
you talk,
talk.
I was going to cry like somebody died.
Yeah.
And then my sister, she's like, ran a stop sign in our neighborhood, right? And she was just furious. And, she got my mom, and they were both like, what's the police doing there? There's no. Well,
Yeah.
So the last point here is, make sure that the punishment fits the crime. So, making sure we don't overpunish. Do you ever remember a time getting overpunished that you felt like, that was too much?
Think, guys. When was Dad not fair, man? When did the punishment not fit the crime?
I mean, I would say with Colin, it would probably been I took it a whole month. He didn't have the phone, didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
No social media, nothing. I mean, he went back to school. He said, Dad, I was the most popular kid there because everybody's like, Colin, where you been? He's like, you were a mystery.
You were different.
Oh, it was
yeah.
awesome.
I remember this.
It was awesome.
Yeah, mystery.
Honestly, I thought that was just in itself.
At the time, or now that you're so mature?
Well,
At the time, no.
At the time,
At
it
the
was
time,
not fair.
probably not.
at the time, right?
But
But
that's the thing.
But you got to think. He told you I'm in the middle of a D group, discipleship group. He's got the tattoo. I think
No. Not have a tattoo.
D group.
D group.
No.
That's all across his
Yeah, his knuckles.
knuckles.
These are my praying knuckles.
But he's in the middle of that, and then that's where the double life came from. You're doing this, but then you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And are you being honest with those that are investing in you on this?
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's investing a lot of time in you, and to pour into you.
And if you weren't part
Not
of
just
that,
mom and dad, outside of mom and dad.
Yep.
So that's kind of why it was made. A big deal was made out of it. And did you ever talk to Chandler and them about it?
Yeah, because they asked me, they're like, well, why ain't you been responding?
yeah.
Like, I've been trying, I just,
Why are you screenshotting everything?
yeah.
He was part of that.
That's my
They
dad.
were part of that group too.
They definitely knew what was going on, so I definitely told them about it.
Did you ever get punished that didn't fit the crime, Andrew? Every punishment?
Yeah, get ground from my iPad. I get mad about it. Get ground longer.
Not allowed to get mad? Yeah. Don't have those feelings.
Don't talk back.
Oh yeah. What was the time you didn't get to go see the Avengers, Colin? Do we want to talk about that on the podcast?
Detrimental. He
I
said
don't
no.
remember.
He said it's too late. Oh, you don't remember?
No, I remember everything.
I pushed that stuff that way
Wasn't
down
it-
deep.
Wasn't it on Andrew's iPad?
No,
No,
that is not what happened. That is a different
Pinned me
story
down.
completely.
Put his-
All right, part two. Part two.
All I say is I established dominance
that one
with
time,
Andrew
That one time.
that day.
that one
I
time.
was like 4.
Okay, no, like 6. I was 8, probably.
Still.
Oh man, this is what I got to look forward to. This is what I got to look forward to.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's getting hot in here.
Good memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hey, that Avengers movie was good though. Where were you at?
I did have to miss it. That was
dude,
terrible.
that was an incredible movie. We
Yeah.
went
This is the
to-
first one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was game changing.
Okay, that was an unjust punishment. Let's go back to that one. It really was. I was really upset about that.
It was. If I could think of an unjust, that was an
From
unjust.
Dad?
Yeah.
What happened?
Man, I just I did-
Give me a high level view. What happened?
I should have took him, and me and him went and saw that because
But you stayed your ground and said no.
I never saw it in the theater. I saw it,
You never saw it.
Oh, then you've never truly seen
months
it, buddy.
later when it
You've
came
never
out.
even seen
we
it.
just
you have to see the
we
re-release.
just came back and told him how awesome it was, and
I was like, here's some popcorn, Colin.
And I was like, screw you guys. I was like, I'll suck.
yeah,
I enjoyed that movie.
I'm sorry for that one.
That's all right.
You called me on that one. I didn't do. That was a little over the top. You should have.
No, we deal with it and we live and learn.
Yeah.
And you learn.
Hey, you
I
got-
never did it
got
again,
some-
I guess.
That dad's.
You never did again,
So it worked.
but it did work.
All right, I get to hear the whole story. Let's wrap this up.
All right, at the end of it, yeah. So this is the end. So, are you thankful that the discipline that you got when you was a kid, and are you going to carry that on?
Of course. I mean, I will.
What's the importance of it? Do you believe?
I mean, it kind of being disciplined kind of helped me grow more, and like it helped me grow closer to the Lord because it kind of made me a kind of a standout. And I was like, why am I? I'd come to you and like, I don't fit in, Dad. And you'd be like, well, we disciplined you and like kind of trained you the right way, and I saw that in school and me going to watch other like I'm observing right now in college, and I go to these middle schools now and I'm saying like there ain't no discipline, and I see that, and it makes me like kind of makes me kind of like, not angry, it just frustrates me a little bit because I'm like, where are these parents at? What are they doing? And it's just I'm like, my kids will never do that. Like these kids, like these fourth graders, phones and Snapchat. I'm like, my kids ain't gonna have that. I won't give them DS and tell them have fun.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah,
we let parents today. That's their babysitter, right? They don't want to deal with it, so they just give a kid an electronic and that
And-
babysits them. And like I said, we gave our kids phones, when they got middle school, but when it came to social media, we were pretty
Yeah, but there's a lot
Really
more to
strict.
this discipline thing. I mean, as I listen to you guys, I'm not thinking about just getting in trouble. I'm thinking about, you're talking about D group, and you're talking about discipleship, and you're talking about quiet times, and you're talking about reading your Bible, and you're talking about your walk with Christ. Do you think all that would have been the same without your dad's leadership?
No.
No. Do you think on your own, left to your own, and that's really what we're getting at here, is to even ourselves, to our own devices, we're sinners, and that's not our go-to thing on our own. And your dad and mom set that, and family and people that love you, and Chandler and the church, showed you, showed you that way, and that's really the point of all this is.
It is, and like I said,
leading
you're
down
going
that
to make mistakes. As you guys get older and you have your own kids, and I told Stephen, I hope one day that you'll come and ask me for advice on things. But everything that you ask for advice, I'm going to say, well, what did I do with you, and point you to the Word. And sometimes I'm just going to say, man, I'm praying for you, because it's a tough
And this
situation.
doesn't change. This doesn't change. Our parents, their parents, generations.
that doesn't.
This hasn't changed.
No.
Now, if you go to the world,
But the world
it's
gets-
very different.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything that I look at, from the world's point of view, about if we're talking about discipline, it was this generational, right? It's like, well, in the 50s it was like this, and in the 80s and 90s it's like this, and now it's this. I'm like, it shifts, it changes, we change. What's going on? And yes, the world changes, but we got to have a root somewhere, and it's right here. It's in the gospel,
Yeah.
Yeah, my my hope is
in the
that
scripture.
you definitely carry on, some of the good things that I've taught you, and then if some of the bad things, fix them.
Yep.
Yeah,
Shake them off.
Take the kid to see Avengers.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah. Got it.
I ain't gonna be in theaters. It's gonna be like kitty cats.
Well, the
and-
next
It'll
one
be
comes out.
it'll be the re-release. It's the re-release. They do it in about
Yeah.
25 years.
They'll do a whole new one.
Yeah.
They'll start over new actors and stuff. So
They ain't be the
Batman,
same.
new Batman comes out every 10 years.
And they're all good. They're all good. In
Most,
their
yeah,
own
they
way.
usually are.
It's Batman, of
It-
course. Okay, well, anything that y'all want to leave with?
Yeah, I'll say that I'm extremely grateful for the discipline that I received. It's because of Dad and who he was, and I could say that my dad was my greatest spiritual leader, and because of that, I am who I am today, and I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm following Christ as closely as I can, and it's because my dad was such an incredible leader in my life. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the discipline that he gave me. And he taught me morals. He taught me how to prioritize the right things, and that's helped tremendously. I can never say thank you enough.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
And what a great compliment. What dad out there doesn't want their kid to say my dad was my greatest spiritual influence? Like that's the pinnacle, and that's it. So, arrow shot, right? I mean, that's the point of all this, and that's why we're doing this. That's the point of this podcast. That's a big part of it all, and that's really cool. Andrew, you can't follow that up.
Hey, I love my
Just
mom
say
too.
agree-
My mom
shout
was
out,
great.
Mama.
Yeah.
Hey, you're out there too, Mom. You're a great mom. I really appreciate all the things you've done for me.
She
Love
does.
you, Mom.
That's right.
Very nice.
All right. Well, thankful to have my boys and on here and get such great compliments for. Like I said, it was a team. It wasn't something that I did them on. It was definitely my wife helping me along the way and us keeping each other grounded. And because I made mistakes and she made mistakes, and we loved each other to even call each other out on those mistakes. So, but raised two good boys, proud of them, and proud of Ava Lee. And like I said, if you listen to this podcast, again, it's not. I hope you don't get that. Hey, listen, I brought them on here to toot my horn, because I did not. And but I can tell you, if you discipline your children the way God designed it, and you read Proverbs, and you surround yourself with Christian men, and you do discipleship, and you be in a small group, where you can say, hey, how do you?
Other people will help you. Believe me.
They'll help you. And like I said, and just don't think you're gonna do everything perfect. You're gonna make mistakes. Like I said, I've made plenty of mistakes, tried to learn from them, but also follow one of those points where you go and say, hey, I messed up here. Forgive me for it. But if you do the work, it'll be fruitful. And if you raised in the child in the way they should go, they'll always come back to it. So I truly believe that. It's a promise from God. So hope you enjoyed our discipline series, and we'll catch you next time.
You were the man.
That's right.